Yep, yeah.
Okay, let's just chill. But we're moving to
Yep.
the session on performance assessment. Okay, so
Okay.
before I ask you your thoughts on this, so were you able to what did you? Okay, so I'm seeing that you were able to submit um, your um, multiple choice test,
Yep.
but is this in Google form?
The So I did it in Word doc, but I made my own test on Canva because I just like to make it more of like I like using Canva for elementary classes because I feel like I can make them more like
Photosynthesis and plant life cycles. Is that what I'm seeing right
yep,
now?
yeah.
Okay.
So I
Um,
made all of that, yes.
okay. So tell me what you realized. What helped you in terms of the guidelines of constructing a test?
Um, well, I realized that you don't need to overdo it, meaning like you need to put your questions that you put on a test in simple terms.
Mhm.
Um, so it doesn't make the students confused. So I had to go through the questions and read them and pretend I was a third grader almost and read them from a student point of view. And I did have to change a couple of them because a couple of them were like, "This is a little like a weird question," so I just retyped it and it sounded a lot better.
Okay.
Um, so that was definitely something that I noticed mostly.
Okay.
So,
But the assignment says that aside from you construct the multiple choice type of test, you have to like tell me what level in the Bloom's taxonomy is each item.
mhm.
And then you have to explain also what are the two qualities of effective assessments.
Okay.
So you're not able to do that. Would you like to submit um, an additional file on this?
Oh, yes, yeah. Because when I was doing it, I just copy and pasted the directions onto my Word doc, and I think half of it like disappeared.
Oh my. All
So
right.
half the steps. So that's what happened there. So yeah, I will have that finished then.
Okay. You submit um, like the level in the Bloom's taxonomy. You also
Yep.
have to also like revise the instructional objectives because your objective says the students were able to understand the process. So
Yep.
understand may not be um, a measurable skill. What do you
Yep.
want the students? How do you know that they learn photosynthesis and cycles? How do you know? What are they going to demonstrate to you?
They're demonstrating that they can understand our unit, which is talking about plant life cycles and photosynthesis and how photosynthesis works, and just kind of connecting what each part of a plant does. So that's why I kind of added questions such as like, what do the roots do in a plant and stuff like that.
Okay, so that means your instructional objective is that the students will be able to explain the function of the parts of the plant. Then you would know that they understood. Is that what you're saying?
Yep,
Like
yeah.
the roots, what is the function? Or what is its role? Or what are the parts of the plant as well? Or
Yep,
you have to be able to explain the process of photosynthesis. If that is your objective, that would meaning that that is something that will tell you that your students have learned. It has to be very clear in the objective, and then that will help you. Create your multiple choice. Then
yep,
maybe one of the questions would be, which of the following is which of the following explains the process, or which of the following is a correct process of photosynthesis, or which of the following describes the process of
yep,
photosynthesis, or it could be another number would be which of the following would be um, what the function of maybe the leaf,
Yep.
something like that. Okay, so
Okay.
that means the questions has to be intentional, and it also requires students to really think, but also would really make you see
Hmm.
that they have learned.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Okay. So there's just two of us. I don't know where they are. I hope they've read the email. Um, so let's just proceed. Can you give me, so they're just going to watch this video. Can you please tell me your thoughts on assigning zero for missing work?
Um, like as a teacher, what are my thoughts? Or
Mhm.
like,
Do you agree? Is that okay? When is it not
um,
okay?
I feel like it depends on the situation because I think a zero, like right away, would be a little harsh. Because especially like if they have some family stuff going on or they just get overwhelmed. Um, and so this question's actually pretty relevant because I just had a lot of family stuff happening this past couple weeks. And school definitely was not my priority the past couple weeks just because of everything that's been happening. And so it's been super nice to have professors, like including you, who like didn't give me a zero for missing work. Like you gave me an opportunity to fix my work or to turn it in late and with an extension because of everything, which is super helpful. But on the other hand, if I was just sitting here slacking, not doing anything on purpose and not prioritizing school when I have no family stuff going on, school should be first. Just to be lazy, then I think a zero is good. So
Okay,
I feel like it
we
depends
both,
on the situation.
yeah, correct. So when we assign zero, remember assessment? What was assessment again? Um, what do you remember about when I say assessment in terms of what do you mean by that?
Um, when I kind of remember like an understanding,
Mm-hmm.
like
Good
the
job.
student's understanding,
Mm-hmm. So that means
knowledge.
assessment is anything that we do as a teacher, whether it's giving tests or
Yep.
determining, um, asking questions informal, right?
Yep.
Questioning is an assessment, is it? Does that tell me
Yes.
whether students were learning? Yep.
Yep.
Like this one, right? Like I'm asking you, that will actually tell me whether you're grasping the concept. That will also tell me whether I'm going to like modify
Yeah.
my my instruction, correct? That is assessment, right? So I'm
Yep.
assessing whether you're learning. Will I reteach this? Will I have a different um, strategy? Will I those things? So
Yep.
when we go back to the definition of assessment, that means the score that you assign to the student will actually determine their level of learning, the skill that they have developed.
Yep.
So if I'm going to assign a zero, that means you didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
That could give us a misleading um, uh, result or interpretation because it's actually nothing that is turned in. That means the zero where students have um, not developed the skill is actually not the interpretation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why you have to like check in with students, like what is going on. You have to find a way. You have to find a strategy where students will have to turn in their work.
Yep. Yeah.
And then maybe I agree with you. Well, if I did everything and there's nothing to grade because after everything I've checked in and followed up and modified,
Mhm.
okay. I'm just gonna reply. Kennedy was trying to. We, Kylie, and I are in collaborate already. Please join. Okay. Okay. And then they'll see the recording that I question.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's funny.
Excuse me, Kylie. Just responding. Okay. So you get my point, correct?
Yep, yes.
So how about using pretest in determining grades?
I like that idea because I feel as though it gives, as a teacher, a better understanding of where my students are and what we specifically need to work on.
Yeah, but should that be part of the grade in assigning grades?
Oh no, the
Like,
pretest shouldn't be graded. No.
okay, it can assign scores to determine the level, but
Yep.
it should
Yeah.
not be the grade that we give them because again, no teaching is has been conducted, no developing, no scaffolding has been provided to the student. So that would not be
Yeah.
fair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so planning an assessment, including the answer key. What are your thoughts? I mean, when I plan my assessment, meaning when I plan what is my formative, what would be the output that my students will have to, will they have presentation? Well, should I include already the answer key in the planning?
I would say no.
Okay,
You can
good.
have the answer key on standby, but I would say no to including it in an
Correct.
assessment.
So when we plan an assessment, maybe the answer key would put off as you construct the test. So that which will move me to the next um, bullet point. Okay, when you construct the test, should I include also constructing the answer key? What are your thoughts?
No, because I feel as though the point of the test is to see where my students are.
No, no,
Um,
no. You're now creating your multiple choice. Should you also include that when you're creating your multiple choice, you also have to like prepare your answer key as well.
oh, yes.
Yes, this bullet point is yes. The third
Yeah.
bullet point may not necessarily have the answer key yet. Are you do you see the difference?
Yep, yeah, I do.
Mhm. Okay, so yeah, like for example, when you're constructing your essay question, a sample answer key as an answer to your essay question has to be prepared because sometimes when you write your possible answer to the essay, you'd realize that you need to change and revise the essay question item that you will ask your students because maybe your essay question will not really lead to the expected answer. So that's where the gap is. That's why it's recommended that as you construct the test, you include the answer key. But planning your
Hmm.
entire assessment for your class, you may not yet include writing your answer key. Do you see the difference there?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the difference again between learning styles and multiple intelligences? We
What's
tackled
the
this in the
difference?
yep.
I'd say the difference is that obviously not all students are going to learn the same as other students. So,
But what are the learning styles again? You still remember? Learning
um,
style could be visual learner, could
oh,
be auditory,
yep, yeah,
yeah, it could be hands-on or tactile,
uh-huh,
correct? Or kinesthetic. So there are three learning styles.
yep,
Visual, meaning when you talk about learning styles, that's your how you work, how you best learn,
yep,
or how you approach a task. That's a learning style.
yeah.
Okay? But multiple intelligences is ability of the student. So any multiple intelligence that you know, or have you determined your own multiple intelligence or your intelligence? There are nine.
Um,
Were you able to like
I
take a test of this?
no.
You are like linguistic. Like you have your intelligence is the ability to explain, to
Yep,
speak, to write using words. Am I correct? I can also be wrong, but
that's just so
are you?
yeah.
Yeah. So that means in terms of the nine multiple intelligences, you're a linguistic. You belong to the linguistic intelligence, meaning
Mhm.
you can your ability is on like you perform well when the task is presentation, writing it, explaining it in
Mhm.
words,
Yep.
right? So there
Yeah.
are several multiple intelligences of our students. Mathematical, also there's also kinesthetic. That's why Michael Jordan and those who are athletes could really be also considered a genius, but their intelligence is using their body. I mean, they're very coordinated. They learn well. They learn fast the technique and form and all of that because their
Yeah.
intelligence or ability is something that has to do with their body,
Yep. Yeah.
coordination and all of that. Okay? So these are just the difference, all right? So our focus for
Mhm.
today is actually um, learning to construct performance tasks of our students. Okay? Performance tasks. So last time I discussed about um, uh, writing or creating your multiple choice. All right?
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna upload a video on writing true or false, matching type, what are the guidelines, completion, and then essay. So watch that as well.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. So, but this time let's talk about performance tasks. So what I'm showing you here are really my real students of senior high school, where they're presenting to me their research because my class before I left my country and joining UP is also teaching as the senior high school. What is nice in
Mhm.
my university is that I also teach education students, but I also in one university I also teach a senior high school. There's high
Mhm.
school in my university, but I also teach the graduate school. So in this senior high school, they're going to present to me practical research is good because that's my class. Practical
Mhm.
research. And so they're presenting and all that. So again, how do I assess? How do I know that they know research? Right? Should
Mhm.
I ask them to define research? And that is something that I would know already, that they learn research? Will
Yeah.
I give them multiple choice? And then I would then determine whether they've learned research. Isn't it that research is something that students must do and I should be able to assess whether they can apply the skill? Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yep.
And that's the reason why our assessment is not just paper and pen.
Mhm.
Our assessment is not just choosing, choosing true or false, matching type.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
My
Yep.
students have to present, my students have to demonstrate that they have the skill. And that should lead me to the performance task. So that means when they are showing me the skill, it should not also be that I'm just looking at them and going to say, okay, this is 82 over 100. That's not quite
Yeah.
fair. And so I have to be guided by a certain rubric that would tell me what I'm looking for
Mhm.
there. So it's just a best paper, but because we're also ranking them and then recognizing the best. But this will tell me what are the analysis and how are they doing in terms of analyzing their paper and at the
Yep.
same time what evidence. So that will guide me on what to look for in terms of skill. Are they organized? Is there an in-depth analysis of the results and interpretation? I also would want to determine if they can collaborate with others. I mean, I'm sure you've read a lot about we have to develop collaborative skills in students. However, I have to really be specific on what I'm looking for. Can they, in their group, are they contributing meaningfully to their group? So their
Mhm.
members will each also rate their contribution. That will also tell me whether they're developing that skill.
Yep.
Okay? So meaning
Okay.
anything that is important to me, I should be able to measure at some point, right?
Mhm.
So this is an example of, this is an example of a performance task that I'm going to require from you, but you have to design this performance task. Okay, so
Okay.
meaning for photosynthesis and plant life cycles, what do you think would be a performance task? Okay, so say for example in my science, circulatory system. This I've discussed my circulatory system with my students, fourth grade. How would I know that they learn? They should not just define to me that what's the function of the heart. I have to know
Mhm.
deeper than that, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Can you please read to me the performance task that I assigned to them? Begin with your father.
Yep. Says your father, a cardiologist, has asked you to help out in his medical mission. He has asked you to prepare a simple brochure in your own words about how the heart works, its importance, some diseases of the heart that are prevalent today and their causes, how one can care for the heart. You will be using this brochure to teach children in the outreach community about the heart so that they can teach them what kind of measurement the blood pressure is and then demonstrate how to take the blood pressure of some adults in the community.
What is the lesson that I've discussed with my students?
What is the what? Sorry.
The lesson here was the topic. What do you think?
Um, how the heart works.
Uh-huh. Yep. What is the requirement that I'm
A
going to
brochure.
ask my
We're creating a
students?
brochure in their own words
Yep. What do
about the
you
heart.
think? Yep. What is in that brochure that I'm going to look for?
Um, you're gonna look for if it's teaching children about the heart so that they can teach them the measurement of blood pressure and demonstrate how to take the blood pressure.
Mhm. So that means, will that tell me as a teacher that my students have learned about what we have discussed in the class?
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of skill, you know the
Yep.
difference? Like not just which of the following is a function of the heart, which of the,
Yep.
not just that. They have
Yes.
to write it in their own words and they have a context there that what if they're going to use this to teach children in the outreach community?
Yep. Yeah.
So that means that teaching the children may not be a real thing. It's a hypothetical situation, but I'm giving
Mhm.
them that context so that my students can also um, customize, tailor their words, right?
Mhm.
Because there's a certain context. Okay? So those. So what we're going to learn now is how to write and design that assessment. So again, when we go back to that term, in terms of assessment, it should help you. Anything that you give to your students should help you determine whether your students are learning, whether they're developing their abilities, or they're already understanding. Okay? And
Mhm.
then, of course, we said these are the principles of effective assessment, and then the assessment has to be valid. When we say valid, the assessment has to measure what you want to measure. That is what we mean by validity.
Mhm.
Will this test really determine what I want to measure? And then reliability means that will this reliability means will this test determine consistency? Meaning if I'm
Mhm.
going to give a test now to you and then give the test next week, will you be able to have will this be able to really determine the skill? So some of the teachers would say, or some of the comments would say, oh, that should be different because that should be different because then um, then The student have studied. But we go back to the assessment that when you create and design an assessment or a test, it should not just measure information. It should really measure skill. It should really measure understanding or
Mhm.
performance. So you have to design an assessment where you can really measure a skill if it's there, if it's developing, if it's not developed. Are you
Mhm.
following?
Yep.
So that's
Yes.
when we talk about reliability is that your test, whether the design, your designed assessment is really reliable if it can really consistently determine the level of the skill, whether
Mhm.
it took it now or next week, just like an IQ test. I mean, if you take the IQ test now, if you take the IQ test 2 weeks from now, it will probably be just the same. Why? Because
Mhm.
IQ test is designed with high reliability, meaning whatever factors are affecting, whether you have read somewhere or what, your IQ will actually not change. It really determines your IQ level. Get
Mhm.
that? Okay.
Yes.
So what do we mean by authentic performance task? Okay. So performance task. I mean, just an example: a driver when if like if you have a driver A, B, and C, I'm sure you're going to hire a driver who passed both the written and the actual driving test,
Yep.
right? Because
Yeah.
of course, written is also important, but it has to be both, correct?
Mhm.
So when we talk about tasks, so from here on, when I say a task, it has to be a piece of classroom work. It engages the learners in comprehension, okay, and it focuses on meaning. All right, so those are the students.
Mhm.
So when we say performance task, it is a culminating activity,
Yep.
meaning you have already done scaffolding, worksheets, and all. This one will really determine whether they have developed that skill.
Mhm.
So students are assigned to apply. So when we say performance task, it's not just to define, it's not just to see the difference.
Yep.
The key word in a performance task is apply what
Okay.
they have learned. All right. So something is, it when it's sharing some slides, it affects format. So sorry for that.
That's
What is
okay.
a performance task? It's individual or maybe group work, but the focus of a performance task is problem solving, and
Mhm.
it has to be retention and transfer. Okay. So how do you create? Oh my God, it's. I hope you're still okay with. So how do we create that performance task with design? Match the assessment with the objectives. Okay. So assessment. So that's the reason why I want you to go back to your instructional objectives. Your instructional objectives has to be very clear what your students. So in photosynthesis and cycle, what do you really want your students to apply here? They can create a flow of the photosynthesis. They can actually, by using their body, they're going to like demonstrate photosynthesis, something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be
Something
cool.
like that. So you can create those, okay? So,
Okay.
so your task has to be an application, has to be something that will make them demonstrate to you that they know and that they can apply. They can
Okay.
also like they can also like understand what happened, what is the problem, all
Mhm.
that. Okay? So
Okay.
for you just to know whether they really do understand. So again, how do you create performance assessment? You have to match, okay? You have to match assessment and the outcomes,
Yep.
objective and your performance assessment. That's the first step. So just like this one, maybe my question would be, my objective could have been the students will be able to identify the parts. You notice the identify the parts. My
Yep.
students describe the heart's role. My students will explain the importance, and I have to see that. And you notice when I ask them to come up with a brochure, all these things are in that brochure.
Mhm.
And I can see that they can identify the parts. They'll also explain the function. They're also going to describe the heart's role, but I place a context. You notice?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. All right. So those. So the next thing is you then create an engaging scenario. So first step is to be clear with your objectives. The second step is to create that engaging scenario. So I
Yep.
have here some sort of um, a guide for you to create that. So you remember my you remember this one? I said your father. It's a scenario
Mhm.
where my students can demonstrate what they know. But this is a good guide. Maybe you can begin with writing the goal, the role, the audience, the situation, the product, and then the standard. So you can
Yep.
choose from this one. Like, so my goal, so mine was like, you, your, what did I say? Your father, our cardiologist. That was your role, correct? You are going to
Yeah.
construct. So those things. And then what was the goal? To use the brochure to teach students or kids in the community, correct? The audience are
Yes.
the community. The situation is that you're in a community and you're trying to teach and help them. You get that? And then
Yes.
what is the product? What's the product?
The brochure.
The brochure. And what's the performance? It was clear there that it has to have all these parts and all that.
Mhm.
So, yep, all this. All right. So
Okay.
when I ask you to create a performance task, is this one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So that's another example of a performance task. So you are the assistant. That's the role. And then I'm gonna ask, and then I'm gonna say, your president, who is Pat, was about to approve the purchase. So that's the situation.
Yep.
Okay. And then I'm gonna say these are the available situations. So that would give you the context, right? And then what did I ask? Then you're going to prepare a memo. That's the product. So basically, could be an English class. This could be a communication class, right? That I want
Mhm.
my students to create a memo. I want them to write. I want them to have good grammar and all that. But I have to like give them a situation where they're going to apply, where there's a problem, there's a challenge. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
so those. So this is different when it's just critique the memo. I just can't critique the memo, but it's different than saying, okay, what am I going to place in the memo? So I'm going to consider this, consider that. So that can be
Yep.
challenging at that point of performance task, right? Okay, so again, those can be your guide. Okay, this is another way to prepare a performance task. Scrap method, meaning give the situation, give the challenge, give the role, all that. Okay, and then the audience and the product.
Yep.
Okay, so that's an example. Okay. So if you have choices for roles, you can actually like, what did we say in our example? You are going to write the brochure, and then your father is like a cardiologist. But you can have all these choices, Kylie. You can create in your situation, you can create, you are the chef, you are the photographer, you are the what, famous person. How are you?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So that you know what is nice about authentic or performance-based assessments? It gives our students the idea that what I'm learning, what I'm developing in terms of skill is applicable outside. It
Yep.
is a real world situation. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not just
Yeah.
I'm learning because Miss Kylie is requiring me to have a good score in the test. This one will
Yep.
help them really see that, hey, I can do this out beyond the classroom because in this role I am the let's just say I'm a writer presenting something to the President of the United States, something like that. Okay, there are
Mhm.
several roles. And then this is also an example of a product that you can choose. So remember I asked brochure, but in your class you can say you are going to create a business letter. You are going to present what? A critique. You are going to what? Design. You are going to construct the lawyer's argument. Something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so
Mhm.
those are samples. Then you're going to design 3 to 4 tasks. Okay, so you notice in my sample, they're going to create the brochure, but they're also going to create and explain in their own words. That's another task. They have to also design that it looks like a decent brochure, correct? And then they're
Yes.
also present that to me. So those are the different tasks that they're
Yep.
going to use. Okay, so you have to explain in detail, explicit, and you have to also provide step-by-step directions when you are going to
Okay.
assign a performance task. I'm sure you've noticed that with, let's just say, with um, assessment. Let's just say for Miss Amphi's class, I'm sure you've seen design one type of test, multiple choice. And then I said, before constructing the test, provide the following. And then I'm going to say 10 items. So you notice I break down the
Mhm.
instruction.
Yes.
So some of the tasks could be first you're going to draw, and then you're going to examine and all that. So these are sample tasks. Okay?
Okay.
Sample task. So apply or create a model or sketch or hypothesize. And then you're going to compose and then you're going to design. Then you're
Yep.
going to like recommend something. So those things. All right. And then
Yep.
after that, you notice also that when I give an assignment, I also at the bottom I say to rate this task. Have you noticed that? This is
Yes.
what
Yes.
we look for. And that is what we mean by the rubric.
Mhm.
So rubric could be in different ways. So it is a scoring scale used to assess student performance along a task-specific set of criteria. So some of the rubrics I would really recommend
Mhm.
would be okay, holistic. So if you notice, if you're like, say for example, critical thinking on fashioning, fashioning. So if a
Yep.
student consistently does all or almost all the following, meaning they presented accurately, interprets evidence and all of that, um, and then thoughtfully analyzes, then they get a score of 5, and then the weight of this would be, I mean, is get a score of 4, and then I'm gonna multiply this by 5, then this student gets 20, 20 points. This is
Yep.
holistic. There are times that I also use analytic. Okay, some example of an analytic could be this way, right?
Yes.
Where I'm gonna look for the introduction. It's a different set. And then I'm gonna look for if it's catchy, clever introduction, then it's going to be here. If it's not, then
Mhm.
I'm gonna go here. Okay? Content.
Yes.
Okay. So do you think giving what you're looking for and how you're going to rate the task is going to be beneficial for students?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. When should I give them the rubric?
Um, when you first mentioned the project or what is happening, because
Exactly.
I feel as though a rubric stands as kind of an expectation as to what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yep. We wanted to be not judged. We don't want to be judged without knowing the criteria, right?
Mhm.
So same,
Yes.
same. But how do we really create? Something is wrong when I'm sharing the slides, but you can actually go to the PDF that I shared, okay?
Okay.
So you can actually have criteria, and then you can have weight, and then you have to like describe that, and then you can
Mhm. Yeah.
buying that, but that is going to be toxic, right? For
Yep.
us. And some of us say, what? I'm going to do this? I should just be a model, not a teacher. Yeah. But did you know that we can go to this Ruby
Oh,
Stars?
that's
I'm going
cool.
to Yep. You can go to that maybe after
Okay.
this session. You can go to Ruby Star at four teachers, and then this is what you're going to see in that
Oh,
website.
awesome.
So there
Okay.
are so you can click on some that would recommend it, and then when you click
Yep.
that, let's just for example, you click one of those. Actually, then they would recommend, hey, what criteria would you like to choose and include? Then when you click
Mm-hmm.
that, they'll suggest. And it would be like
Yeah.
nice if it's already there and then we just edit, right?
Yep.
Rather than they'll give you all the description here. And then of course you're going to like them just modify. That's
Yeah.
what I do. Because of course sometimes it cannot capture everything that I want. Okay. And then another that has been helping me very, very well is the R campus. So go to our
Okay.
campus. Here you have, let's say, kindergarten, you have 130,000 rubrics. I mean,
Oh,
why
wow.
should you do your own when you can just edit, right? Grade
Yeah.
6 to 8, 166,000. And then they also have different kinds of rubrics depending on what you're looking for or what you're doing.
Yep.
Dance, is it all this, okay? Or what kind of type are you going to use a rubric for presentation, or is it
Mm-hmm.
an e-portfolio that you're assessing, or is it a reflection? Okay,
Okay.
so you can go there and then create your own
Yep.
rubric. Okay, so
Okay.
just just those. So my question is just um, this may be in a situation or for a college professor, because I was presenting this to particularly to college professors to convince them to use rubrics, but I'm just asking them that there were a situation, especially this one, that's 2018, that there was a college student um, who sued a professor because this student did not understand how the professor rated them. So,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, if this professor presented a rubric, this could have not, made them be in a situation where they have to go through that legal battle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, in your defense in the future, provide always your students a rubric. Tell them, be
Yeah.
transparent, they're getting this and that, right? So
Yep.
anyway, but although this professor won in this, because it's different when you're teaching at a university, because we're protected by what you call academic freedom,
Yep.
meaning that professors are viewed as experts, so they would know what is a sloppy assignment from a non-sloppy assignment, that they know particularly the level, and so that's
Mm-hmm.
academic freedom. But again, they should not be in this situation had they been told the areas they're being rated on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the assignment is, can we go to, do you have access to whatever is expected to this week? So your
Yes.
assignment is you design the performance task, and
Yes.
then you are going to create the rubric.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
and then you have to also explain why your task and your rubric is effective.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those. So next week, what I'm going to ask you is related to this one, but you're going to present the unit plan and then your assessment. So meaning for this week, you're going to create that assessment just for me to really see performance assessment and the designing. But next week is midterm, and the midterm would be presentation. You're going to like show me from the standards to a unit description to your instructional objectives and your plan in
Yep.
what you're going to do in your class, and then your assessments. Could be
Okay.
those you have designed, but it has to be like in a more like a class look already.
Yeah.
Then you're going to present in class.
Okay.
Okay. So just those.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So I want you to go through um, week 8 and see if you have questions on that.
Okay.
So next week would be presentation. That's the midterm exam equivalent. All right.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we have 2 minutes to go. Any aha moment for this particular session?
No. No, that was helpful. So.
Yeah. Meaning aha is what is that something that made you this is life changing, or this is something that stuck with me. This is something that light bulb somewhere along the way when we were discussing.
Well, I never really thought of like the sites that you showed me that help you make a rubric. So that's super cool. That's super helpful. So that'll definitely help me. I never really thought of that. I thought you just kind of had to make them on your own, just out of nowhere. So those sites will definitely help.
That is good. That's also something whenever I share it to teachers, they're saying, "What? There's a site like that?" Yeah, there's sites like
Yeah,
that, and
that's
especially
funny.
the art campus. That's not really. I mean, when you Google it, it doesn't usually come up. I think
Yeah.
it took me some time to really look for that and all.
Yeah.
The Ruby Star is kind of uh, something that comes up first, but the quality sometimes may not really be something. But at
Yeah.
least we can. There's some scratch we can. It's not really from zero, but at least we can begin somewhere. So
Yep. Yeah.
it's helpful at some point, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So no more clarifications, but if you have clarifications, you can always just email, all right? So again,
Okay.
you can resubmit. I'll open the submission button so that you can
Okay.
resubmit what was expected last week, and then you can complete that performance assessments for
Yep.
this week, but presentation of everything that would look like how you're going to use this in the class. Presentation
Yep.
next week, okay? All right.
Okay.
Okay. Would be it. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.